What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
About to be the clash of the titans. Strike like a lightning bolt. You feel the ground pounding, that might be the coast. Quick like a joke, like to hit when provoked. Don't you doubt that. That's a Jaguar to a house cat. That's an outcast to a whole squadron. If you talking Houston, then we've got a problem. You'll probably get the horns if you mess with the cattle. Sit back in your saddle and get ready for the fan battle.
Hello, and welcome to the AFC South Fan Battle Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Briggs. We were supposed to have special guest, Mr. Cecil Shorts, but we had to reschedule, so as it goes, the show must go on. So, with that being said, I got some gentlemen to talk some trash with me today. First off, representing the Colts, I got Mr. Chris Jackson himself.
Hey, quick note. Colts Nation, stop overreacting to everything. Y'all look ridiculous.
I mean, I thought they looked ridiculous hanging banners, but that's just me. And representing the Jaguars, we got Mr. Ammo himself.
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, fellas, how is your Sunday going so far?
It's been pretty good. Homework, food, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Dude, we're under 100 days for the kickoff. Like, it needs to come quick. I'm tired. Like,
yeah,
Will Levis.
No Diddy. Yeah, exactly. Like Will Levis. Yeah, like I'm tired. This has to be the most boring time in sports.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I love baseball.
Well, once the NBA Finals and the NHL playoffs are done, it is just baseball until we get to the football season.
Hey, in unrelated news, the USA they advanced in the cricket playoffs. I don't know exactly how that goes, but
didn't they beat Pakistan, which is like
Pakistan? Yes,
the best team in the world or one of the best teams.
I guess so. I would agree with you if I knew what I was talking about, but
I don't know. The ESPN notification was USA takes down powerhouse cricket team Pakistan.
Makes it sound that much better. So,
before we go and talk about football, I do want to get your opinion on something. So I have a friend whose son loves soccer, and he tries to tell me that America would never ever be good at soccer, and I tried to tell him the reason why is because our main athletes are putting their efforts in other sports. Yes. So my question to you guys, say you have the top three athletes in every sport. So Mike Trout, LeBron James, and TJ Watt on the soccer team. Is there anybody, I mean, nothing can beat that, right? Like, I mean,
if you put them on a soccer team right now, every soccer team is going to smoke them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm saying if those guys,
if you're talking people like Tyreek Hill with speed like that, instead of being on a football field, play soccer, and he can just coast past any defender and have a one-on-one with a keeper. But we're never going to be good at soccer in the same way that other countries are. We're going to produce some good players. Like, there are some solid American players out there, but you're 100%. They are all focused on the sports that are going to pay them, like baseball, football, basketball, hockey even. Hockey doesn't even get paid that much, and that's still way better than what you're getting paid to play soccer in America.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if they focus from the get-go as the youth, if they focus on soccer, like with those athletes, there's no way any teams beating America. It's impossible.
So yeah, well, and also you have to remember that, and I mean, it all goes according to geography too. Because the thing is, I think America is probably one of the only countries where you have a plethora of different sports. And whereas, you may go to some other countries and it's just like not ragging on other countries or trying to crap on them. But the thing is, there's some countries where it's just like they literally have like the back alleys where they can go and they can play soccer games and where they may play religiously like nonstop. Here in America, you have a lot of places like where, I live in Kansas City. It's just like you have proximity to football fields, soccer fields, basketball courts, all this stuff. Whereas it's just like, you go to some places where if they have a basketball court, it's a makeshift basketball court with a milk crate for a hoop. So,
Right.
I mean, it's just like, I think it's just also just like the access for what they have out there that just makes it so that they learn from day one. It's just like, hey, we'll always be able to potentially churn out some talent from here.
Right. Well, and that's why soccer and baseball are the most dominant in other countries, right? Because it's the cheap. All you need is a ball.
It's a lot easier to just pick up and
right,
play.
right. Like football, you need equipment.
Football is the hardest one to just pick up
Absolutely.
and go because
Absolutely.
when you want to play legitimate organized football, it requires an insane amount of money and time. And
and coaching. Like football has probably the hardest sport to coach because there's so much variables that goes into it.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. But we do have the
kids how to play chess
right
with physicality.
Right. Absolutely. We do have the Olympics coming up though. I mean, it's going to be a slaughterhouse. America's going to take the gold like we always do. But I always like the Olympics. This year is the year that they bring football, so I'm ready. I'm ready to see some Americans juke out.
Flag football is in this one.
Yes,
it is.
I know they voted and got it in. I didn't know it was going to be.
I think it's this. I could be wrong.
I was about to say. I
feel like we would have heard more hype about a squad if there was.
I thought they said 2024, but I could be wrong. I don't see any NFL player.
First off, as like, there's a lot of people out there that believe that they would be better off not putting NFL players and getting legitimate flag players to play because there are guys out there, and like I've played a lot of flag football in my days, and I know some of these dudes or have played around some of these things. They ain't wrong. Some of these dudes are guys who wouldn't be able to play pro football or whatever, but on a flag football field, there are some NFL players that aren't going to touch them because it's played differently.
Yeah, flag football is a very it's football, but it's very different because of how they do. Like it's and the thing is like with regular tackle football, it's just like you can kind of be in the vicinity and possibly just make a play, but it's a lot tougher when it comes to flag football because some guys are shifty enough to know how to be able to make the flags move when they're getting in and out of cuts. Like it's a whole nother animal altogether. So I mean, I'm with you on that one. Like get some guys who have been playing flag, who have a proven record of being actual legit ballers when it comes to that field.
Now, don't get me wrong. You get somebody like Tyreek Hill, that's a different kind of thing. Like there are certain NFL players that it doesn't matter. They're just going to translate.
Justin Jefferson, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But not all translate to flag, just like not all flag players translate to real football.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Justin Jefferson. We'll jump into some NFL news before we talk a little bit of trash. Of course, Justin Jefferson got his monster contract. Emma, I'll start with you. Is he worth it? And does CeeDee Lamb see anything close to that?
Well, if I'm CeeDee Lamb, I'm a happy man right now because if you're the Cowboys, you needed to get that done before Justin Jefferson because Justin Jefferson is the better player. So you want to get the guy in and get that money done before, but now CeeDee's going to come to you and say, you got to get me close to this number or we're not talking. So he's not going to necessarily reset the market. I don't think he'll do that, but he just moved that needle that much further. And, Dallas, they keep playing these games where they think they're going to outsmart people with how they're negotiating these deals, and they're just costing themselves more money.
Yeah, I mean, history's proven, right? Like they didn't pay Dez, they didn't pay Cooper. They just don't like paying their talent for some reason.
And then
Chris,
they got
what's
this
your
weird
thought?
standoff with Dak, and now they're
Right.
going to add in this with CeeDee Lamb. Like, you're about to lose both if you keep messing around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris, what do you think?
You have to pay him. I mean, he's an X factor. I think you just like saw this past year. I mean, the man went over 1,000 yards, and I think he missed like 6 games. I mean, he's somebody who has the ability to affect the game, no matter what he's in. Like you literally have the game plan for him, and I mean his numbers have spoken for themselves. But also, I mean, it's a brilliant move to get him locked in now with that because now you have 3 wide receivers. You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Jamar Chase, and you have Brandon Ayuk. And the thing is, what they've done now is 35 million per year is what it looks like, and it's what is what the bar is. So the thing is now it's just like CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Brandon Ayuk. I think with Brandon Ayuk it's maybe a little bit not necessarily as much, but now you know that Brandon Ayuk is over there possibly asking for anywhere between 28 and up. Maybe 28 to 30 million because now it's just like, look what I'm doing. I'm the best receiver on this team, which he is. He's the best receiver on that 49ers team. So let's just, call a spade a spade. But now, Jamar Chase, you already knew that you were going to have tough contract negotiations with him. But now, whatever he gets, that guarantees that T. Higgins is going to be out the door anyway.
Absolutely.
So now it's and then also CD, as you stated before, they don't look how Dallas doesn't like Jerry Jones doesn't like paying wide receivers what they deserve. I guess he thinks that they're just going to be great and then they're just going to be getting 15 million a year for some reason because he's Jerry Jones. But I mean, Justin Jefferson's deal is the framework now for all these guys to be able to get their money. And there's going to be some guys who are going to end up either going to free agency or who are going to end up going to be traded because of the fact these teams really are not going to be able to pay them like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he deserves the money too because, like, I think CeeDee Lamb gets a lot of hate because of who he plays for.
100%.
I think if he plays on any other team other than the Cowboys, he's right there with Justin Jefferson. The stats are very, very similar. Like he's only off, I think, like 600 yards from Jefferson, like 6 touchdowns. Yes, he has more catches than Jefferson, but still, I mean, the stats are very similar. To me, it's kind of like a battle between, like, it's the new age of Terrell Owens and Randy Moss. Like by the end of their career is over with, you're going to ask who was the better receiver. But I think because of the hate the Cowboys get. Same thing with Dak Prescott. Like Dak Prescott, to me,
he's a good quarterback that gets a lot more hate than he needed to.
Yeah.
Like now, don't get me wrong. He's not clutch. He doesn't have the it factor when you need him to. When it's a playoff game or a do or die game, he doesn't show up always. And it's not always him. It's the team around him too. But he hasn't proven to get over that hump yet. And that is a huge knock on him. And that's a valid knock. But the rest of the stuff that people say is really just a lot of Cowboys hate.
Yeah.
Well,
and
go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, it's just like he's a solid quarterback, but the problem is that the Cowboys, because of how they're hyped up, because of all this history that they have, they're hyped up every year to be dominant. They are hyped up every year to be they're hyped up every year to be a 13-3 team at the very least. And so the thing is, when you sit there and you have those expectations, whether it's the fan base, whether it's the media, being America's team, you have to be good. And the problem is that they just aren't this team consistently. And the thing, when they have those great regular seasons, they go into the playoffs and they absolutely whiff, i.e. what we saw against Green Bay. It was trash. And that's just the type of product that they put out. So, I mean, the players are going to get it, but I mean, and this is going to sound crazy. I think I've said it before, but I mean, honestly, that Cowboys team isn't going to go anywhere until Jerry Jones, hits the pay dirt. So
not even when his son takes over, it's still going to be
it's
the
trash.
same repeated garbage. Because yes, they got good players, but let's be honest. When's the last time they had a great coach?
Oh no, they haven't. But that's a Jerry Jones issue. That's the reason
Right.
why it doesn't
Absolutely.
work.
Well,
That's
it's
what I'm
a
saying.
thing because he's never going to hire the right guy because it's going to affect his ability to have control over what he wants to have control over.
Exactly, over every single thing. Like he doesn't want somebody like a Jimmy Johnson to come in and just say, "Hey, I got this. You stay back there and just keep earning the millions that you're getting."
He
And
needs a
then,
yes man.
yeah, that's who he hires. Like McCarthy was a yes man. What's the name?
Jason Garrett.
Jason
Garrett was a
Garrett.
yes man. He hated Wade Phillips because Wade Phillips was sitting there talking back to him like, "No, this is not what we need to do." And then he's just like, "Oh well, he's out of here." Like it was dumb. But once again, it's just like Jerry
And that's
Jones is
what's
single handedly bringing that team down.
and that's what's hindering people like Dak Prescott. Like Dak Prescott could, like Amar, you're right. What you said about Dak Prescott is 100% right, but that can be fixed with the right coaching.
Yeah,
that would
and
never,
that's it. That could
never.
because the quarterback and the coach go hand in hand. When they're falling apart late in the game, how much of it is Dak and how much of it is just the coach that just isn't ready for the big moments or isn't that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, because let's be honest, without Aaron Rodgers, Mike McCarthy doesn't have a Super Bowl win.
Well, yeah. But you know what? Mike McCarthy, even when he was in Green Bay, he had more of a voice in Green Bay, at least. It's just like now this guy is just on the sideline, just like, geez, like, what do you want me to do?
I do kind of want to do a sidebar here because we're speaking about Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Tie this back to the AFC South a little bit.
Damn.
CJ Stroud saying Matthew Stafford would have won 3 to 4 rings on the Green Bay rosters instead of Aaron Rodgers. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan, but I don't know how you think that Aaron Rodgers was the problem that Matthew Stafford would have fixed in Green Bay.
I like CJ Stroud when he wasn't talking so much.
Yeah.
I hear a lot from him these days, and I'm like, dog, you need to come on, bro. Like
I can see where he's coming from. I mean, I don't agree with him, right? But I mean, I do see where he's coming from because a lot of people.
If you're just trying to prop up Stafford and you picked a random example and it just happened to be Green Bay and you weren't really thinking about it, okay. But I think there was a little more thought into that, and he legitimately put Stafford in a tier above Rodgers. And
right, well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm a big Stafford fan, and I think Stafford got a raw deal in Detroit a lot of years, but I don't think that Stafford is winning any more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers did.
I mean, you never know though, right? Because
you never know.
Stafford had not Stafford. Rodgers had a team. He had some good receivers. Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, the great white hype, Jordy Nelson, and he had a good defense. Clay Matthews, like all the BJ Raji, like they had.
But I think Aaron Rodgers' story kind of goes the same way Peyton's goes.
Yeah.
Peyton had great players at different positions at different times, but the overall talent on the team each time, he had good defensive players that they played, but the defense as a whole didn't necessarily play well. And then Tom Brady existed.
Well, it was Peyton. I think it was like the Colts were to Tom Brady what the Green Bay Packers were to the New York Giants, because more often than not, somehow, and mind you, I say somehow because Eli Manning was able to outduel Aaron Rodgers in multiple playoff games, and I mean
Tom Brady.
Yeah, and then like Peyton Manning had to run into Tom. So like we had to, we have to also throw that in. So the thing is, it's just like we don't know exactly how that goes with Matt Stafford. I mean, I get what they're saying. I don't remember who the comparison was where he said Eli Manning was better than who because he had 2 rings. But
Well, that's they. Stroud didn't say that. I forget which of the ones on the podcast. He said that he would. Stroud's like, well, he does have 2 rings. Like he was like, I get that. Eli has 2 compared to 1, which everybody, when you talk about great players, that's what they bring up is rings.
yeah,
Like, well, he got 4 rings. Well, Dan Marino has 0 rings. Trent Dilfer's better than Dan Marino.
Yeah, dude, you didn't know,
right? It's kind of, what's called Barry Sanders, no rings. He was horrible. No, you can't use that as an argument.
oh, Barry Sanders stinks.
Yeah, but but going back to that, I think the reason, because a lot of ex-Packers, and personnel too, say that the disconnect from Aaron Rodgers was his attitude towards people. Like he was very selfish. He wasn't really a team player other than Randall Cobb. So I think, but now Matthew Stafford is the complete opposite.
yeah.
And plus, again, like other than Calvin Johnson, name me a weapon that Matthew Stafford's ever had in his career. Like,
Matthew Stafford became a better quarterback when Megatron retired.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just
And
imagine.
that's not a slight to Megatron. It's just he was forced to play the quarterback position a different way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you give Matthew Stafford this current Lions team, I think there's no doubt that they win the NFC by a mile.
Not just that Ben Johnson scheme. Like you give him Ben Johnson scheme, and again, Aaron Rodgers had how many coordinators through his whole career? 4 at tops.
Yeah.
How many did Matt Stafford had in the first 5 years? His probably, like probably Rodgers' whole career. Like it's night and day. Like so, yes, I agree. CJ was wrong on that comparison, but I can see why he said it. But I love CJ Stroud going on there and talking crap, and especially with Micah Parsons. I think those two.
Well,
yeah, do a reality TV show, it would be complete gold. So
I can't because I hate hearing Micah Parsons talk.
I can't do Mike.
I love it. I love it just because of the banter between the two. Is especially when we were in Tokyo. That stuff was hilarious. I might be a little biased.
Yeah, I was gonna say if my QB1 had a podcast, I would probably feel the same way. But
yeah,
Micah Parsons, not it for me.
Yeah. And speaking of Texan news, a controversial ex-Texan player just announced his retirement. Steven Nelson is calling it quits after 9 years. Chris, are you surprised or no? Who cares?
I mean, it's 9 years in. I mean, we see that there's still guys who are kind of holding out, but I think he's like 30, 31. He might even be older than that. I mean, at this point, it's, it would be tough because you're coming in on a veteran minimum. He probably wouldn't be doing anything unless somebody got hurt anyway. So, I mean, he's a good veteran presence, but I think anybody who's looking for cornerback now is looking for somebody to come in and make an immediate impact. And I just don't think that I think he understood that, and he's just like, yeah, like, let me just go ahead and just chalk it up.
Now, Emo, do you think that's the true reason why he didn't get brought back, or because of the stupid comments he made like he did against D'Amico Ryans?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of everything. I think there's always the factors, but I mean, didn't he have one of his better years last year?
He had 5 interceptions last year.
Yeah, that was like a career high, right? Yeah. I think. So you got to imagine there was still at least some kind of juice in the tank somewhere. Could have offered something, but if your head's not in it right, or maybe you feel like, hey, if I go back out there, I don't have that next step, but I don't know. I don't know the situation well enough to really say what I think definitively one way or another, but I think it's always going to be a little bit of everything.
I think that once, like especially a city like Houston, they suffered a tornado, and then the next day you go on social media calling your ex coach a milk dud head. It just, it's not a good look.
Okay,
It's not a good look, especially because some find that to be a racial term. So,
I mean,
wasn't he like saying that he was only doing it for like the spotlight and he wasn't really genuine or something too?
yeah.
Yeah, that's wild too.
He said, "Get your meathead persona out of it and go help the city you supposedly love." Like, I was like, bro, there's times to do that, and when you're a free agent, that is not the time. You know what I mean? Like, especially for like teams like Houston and Indy, and maybe even Jacksonville, like that needs a solid corner for when somebody gets hurt. He can come in and be that person. Because like I like what we're seeing in Kamari Lassiter in Houston, but I'm not sold on CJ Henderson or Jeff Okuda. Like, give me some Steven Nelson. But after that, like, bro, I'm good. Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with the way D'Amico was able to change the culture for that team in one season. Being a guy who played there, now coming there to coach and changing the culture. Like, are we saying they're winning Super Bowls right now? No, we're not saying that. But like what he was able to do there in such a short period of time, like you got to have a little bit more respect for that man.
Yeah,
it's easy to do, right? Like winning games is one thing, but changing the culture.
Changing a losing culture is hard to do. We hired plenty of coaches trying to change the culture, and it only got worse. So you could do that for 4, 5, 6 years in a row and get nowhere.
And especially coming off of the whole Deshaun Watson story. I mean, like Mo, you get it. You had Urban Meyer's finger popping people buttholes. Like, it's coming from something
kicking
like that.
Kickers.
Right, kicking kickers, right? Like it's bringing back preachers to be a tight end. Like it's not hard to. It's not hard. It's not easy.
Hiring a racist strength coach and then firing him 2 days later when everyone found out he's a racist.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not for everybody. So for him to do that and be successful, like they're the first ever rookie head coach and rookie quarterback to win the division. I mean, that kind of speaks volumes. So, but that's just me.
No, it's correct. I mean, like I said, it's just like you have your head coach, and like I said, the head coach has the ability to be able to just take what he has and just really be able to come in. And then, I mean, the fact that it was a rookie head coach that hadn't been a head coach previously, and to be able to
coaching experience, because I mean, he's a young dude who just stopped playing not that long ago. Like,
yes. And that's the reason why it's just like you have bad things to say about him when clearly he's not only won over the team, but it's just like he's been able to actually win. And it's something that the Texans haven't been able to do for a while. And for him to be able to do that in his first year, like I said, circumstances aside, still being able to win 10 games is hella impressive, especially since I think the Texans won, 3 or 4 the year before?
They won 4 all together.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it was nothing short of like, if you have anything bad to say about him, then I see why. It's just like you just wouldn't be back because it's just like you're going to really just shit on this guy. Like, for what?
Right. Just to get your name out there. Like, and he was already unhappy, especially with Nick Caserio. I mean, last year he talked about Nick Caserio's sweater vest. Like, come on. Don't say something blasphemy. Like you don't. Yeah. You can talk about Nick Caserio the person, but you don't talk about the sweater vest. Okay, like that is sacred. Okay, all right. Leave the sweater vest out of this.
You better not talk about Dougie P's visor. Let me tell you something.
Those are things that you don't talk about. Well, folks, let's jump into kind of OTAs. One step closer to the real thing. Man, I'm excited. Uh, Training camp just right around the corner. Oh man, just you start smelling the freshly cut grass, the chalk on the ground. Like it's almost there. We're almost there. Um, of course, Titans are too busy eating mayonnaise and scared to come on the podcast, so we have nobody to talk
And
about. So,
kissing their sisters and brothers.
I'm glad you brought that up. You know that there is actually a law saying that it's okay for them to marry their first cousins, and they're actually trying to stop that from changing. Like people want to change that, make that illegal.
I don't know if you can see, but like, do you see me not being surprised?
You're right. Oh, that's crazy. Like, what? Like, whatever. But like you said, it's Tennessee. So, I'll start with you, Ammo. Are you seeing anything out of the OTAs for the Titans?
Yeah, I saw Will Levis throw an interception, so he's in mid-season form
already.
Yes.
Already, Chris.
I mean, honestly, I think the only other thing that I saw was they tried to make a big deal about Calvin Ridley running a route. And,
I know. Jaguars did that last year.
Yeah.
Zay Jones ran a route, and then Calvin Ridley ran it a little bit faster, and everybody was like, "Yep, Jaguars to the Super Bowl." And here we are with the Titans doing the same thing.
Yeah, and that was like the craziest part because you're watching it, you're just like, this looks eerily familiar. So
I've seen it up close.
Yeah.
I've seen my fellow Jags fans.
I've been there. I've seen it.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember what account. I think it was Benchwarmer Brand. It's just like he makes a bunch of like the parody NFL videos. He was just like, "Oh look, Calvin Ridley running a route. Let's get excited." It's like no. So yeah, Titans. If I wasn't, but no, I'm not even gonna say that. It's just like for me, I think I'm gonna look into what it takes to be on the Titans social media team because they've been dropping absolute turds all week. And I just want to figure out, it's just like, how can I get down? Because I know that I can do better.
Yeah. Especially get paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I will say something positive. JC Latham, or however he says his last name.
That's a strong dude.
JC Latham,
dude,
yeah.
Yes.
That's a guy that gets off the bus and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what he was doing to that sled was like, ooh, good thing I'm not that. Dude was just straight. I get it, it's a sled. It's not that impressive, but still, man,
they got that special sled that he makes that you have to hit it with the right technique or it doesn't move. So.
Right. And it's like what, 330 pounds or something like that?
It's 385.
385, yeah.
385, yeah. He's making it look like he was moving on ice, bro. Like it's like, dude, it was scary. But all that just to let Will Levis get sacked. Like sorry, we're not sorry. All right, well, since they ain't here, it's their fault. So we'll just move on.
They can't be here to defend themselves. So
absolutely, Chris. I know y'all lost your second year safety. He was out last year for an injury. Speak on that and what else you saw in the OTAs.
Yeah, so he when he was drafted, he was 25, and I'm pretty sure he was just basically just going to be like a special teams guy. So I mean, him getting injured for the year again, it's just like it didn't make me flinch because it wasn't something that was super impactful. But yeah, the only other thing that we had, and this is something that I just need to make sure that we highlight. So Anthony Richardson had been throwing for a little while, and then I think for the last few days. Thursday, he was kind of being monitored, and then Friday, he wasn't really throwing like that. So everybody was overreacting, and it was basically just a precautionary measure. He's still recovering from the actual surgery, so he's been able to throw. He went on Pat McAfee's show on Monday and said he was at about 95%. And the only reason why he was held out was due to soreness. So there's no point in him actually going back in and continuing to throw and trying to, fight through soreness, whatever, because, I mean, we're a month and a half away from training camp. So, like I said, complete precautionary measure, so nothing to be worried about. But of course, people see that and then they run with it. And then, like a Titans fan had nerve to say something. I'm just like, listen, I'll take Anthony Richardson with one arm, then Will Levis and his quick release. And I'm not talking about the way he throws the ball. So, I mean, let's just go ahead and get that out the way right now. So, but like I said, complete precautionary measure. Everything's cool. He's completely fine. Other than that, AD Mitchell and Josh Downs have been looking like absolute ballers. So very happy about that.
All right. Emma, what about you? Got anything?
About the Colts?
Or no, about the Jaguars? I mean, if you want to talk about the Colts, you can.
No,
Go ahead.
I never do. I will say one thing about the Colts. I hope Anthony Richardson is healthy for when we spank them twice this year. All right, moving on. The Jaguars, obviously, Jaguars' second-round pick for a lot of people was a question mark. So the main story for the Jaguars has been the first-round pick, Brian Thomas, and everything that I'm hearing about him is not necessarily like stuff on the field, but he's the most intelligent rookie I've been around, is what I think the wide receiver coach said. And Trevor said that he's really smart. He's picking things up quick. Like, he's just absorbing everything. And at this point in the season, I don't really care what you can do in shorts. I don't really care what you're doing in windbreaker pants.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that you're absorbing the material good, because somebody that played your position last year didn't. So if you're soaking up the playbook now and you actually know what you're supposed to be running and you're going to be in the right spot and you're going to build that chemistry with Trevor and you guys know where you're supposed to be, that's all I need to fucking hear. But, I mean, our second-round pick, Mason Smith, he's a defensive lineman. I don't give a shit what happens in OTAs. Nothing matters until you put pads on and you can see if you can start moving human beings. So, again, not a lot to see there. Jarian Jones has been popping out. They really think that he's probably going to end up with a starting job pretty early on in the season. Comes with a lot of energy, which you need in that DB room. And he's been electric. So I'm excited about a couple of those guys. Pretty much the rest of their draft class, you'll have to put pads on before you're really going to be able to tell anything.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I will say this. Look, like Tennessee still in Houston culture. Like, come on, dude. Back off. But now Jacksonville get Mac Jones teaming up with Mike Jones.
No. You can't. Listen, man. You can't be mad with Jacksonville about that. You need to be mad with your boy Mike Jones and say, why you ditching the city of Houston for Jacksonville? You got to talk to your boy.
That's fine. He can go. We got the legendary, so you can take a couple.
As long as you still got Paul Wall, you're good.
Hey, that's what I was saying.
Now, if you pop out one day and say for the shoe, then I mean, you might as well pack it up.
Yep,
pack it up and just root for the Strolls year round.
But I just find it funny. I like that Mac Jones did that, because everyone's like, "Bro, weren't you like 5 when that song came out?" It was, it was great, So this see some flavor to it. Anything else?
I mean, talk about Mac Jones. A lot of the reports about him is just he's happy to be playing football again. I don't really care. He's going to be the backup. Like, he's really not pushing for anything. But
so no truth to this.
Yeah, there's absolutely no truth to that. The only way that happens is if like Trevor Lawrence gets eaten by a shark and loses an arm. So, no.
I got you. Yeah, like I see the videos of him doing the protect the ball drill where he did like a front flip at the end. Like, it looks like he's just having fun, And
exactly. Like he's a Duval kid. He's back home. He's not under the Bill Belichick regime of, everything is bop bop bop. He can actually like be more himself. So he's enjoying playing football again, which is cool to see. I'm not really a Mac Jones fan at all, but it's cool to see somebody enjoying what they love again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about the division champs. Same thing with you, Ammo. Like, it's OTAs. Like, is there really anything to really talk about? Is it good to see the guys out there? Yeah. Nobody's getting hurt. Great. some real good key moments was seeing Dylan Horton on the field after beating his battle with cancer. He's not participating, but he's out there on the field, and that's great. That's one thing I like about D'Amico. This is the first year that every single Texan player was on the field. They weren't participating, but they were there. Like last years before, you didn't have Watson, you didn't have Lerman Tunzel. You have these players, and you have people like, oh, well, Stephon Diggs, he's not going to go. He's a diva, blah, 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 blah. It's good to see unity and why building it, because everybody's like, well, it's the Jaguars. It's one and done. It's not going to – you don't know what's going to happen. It's good to build on it. So I'm glad to see that. Mechie is looking pretty feisty out there, which to me, I think this is his make or break year after beating cancer, and he never really got to heal from his injury, because when he got his injury, they found out he had leukemia, so he really never got in football shape. So I think this is the year where he shocked some people. I think Robert Woods is going to be finding a job here in the next couple of weeks. I don't
really see how he gets playing time in that wide receiver room. At this
he
point.
seems
barring an injury,
more like a mentor type of thing right now.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to have, right? Like when Noah Brown and Robert Woods is your fourth or fifth receiver, that's a pretty good problem to have. But Tank Dell looks amazing. Everybody was worried about getting shot and his injury. Dude's come back strong. His cuts are just even sharper, so that's good. Same thing to you again, Emma. Our cornerback, Carmi Lassiter, looks fantastic. Again, no pads. I get it. There's no pass rush or no nothing, but he's locking down. He's making the right angles. Everybody's worried about his 40 speed. Well, the dude's making great plays to take that out of the equation. Again, I get it. It's not game speed. It's not on the line. It's different, especially like when you have somebody like Xavier Worthy going out there taking the top off of you. But it's
had to let that kid go to Kansas City, man.
How dumb? Can we talk about that real quick? How dumb is Buffalo?
Listen, I get if Keon Coleman was your guy and you weren't going to take him, but it looks bad that you just let Worthy go to
for nothing. For nothing. And you're right. That's your guy. Go get him. You're right. But either take him there at, was it 24, 20,
28.
Whatever? 28? Yeah, take him there. Who cares if it's a bust? Cool. That's your guy.
It's dumb all around, because I don't know how the Chiefs keep on
getting richer.
Well, they keep, but the problem is that they always get richer at the Bills' expense. And you would think that as many times as the Chiefs have mollywopped the Bills, whether it be in the playoffs or just kept them out, because mind you, I think there's been a few times, if it's not the Bengals, it's the Chiefs who are keeping the Bills from being able to go to the Super Bowl.
It's mainly the Chiefs. The Bengals are the ones that mess with the Chiefs.
Yeah. But if if you look at that team repeatedly, they give the Chiefs the opportunity time and time again to get better. And I think, what's the name? When the Chiefs traded up to get Mahomes, I think that was the Bills that they traded up to. Yep. I believe that was their pick. Yeah.
Because that's how they were able to get Josh Allen the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then you give him Xavier Worthy when the Buffalo Bills needed a wide receiver.
Yes, they lost. Gabe Davis ain't like the Stephon Diggs, but he's still a weapon. Let him walk. Gave Stephon Diggs for not this year's second round, but next year's second round. Like you're not getting no right now
You're not getting a
compensation.
return on that where you should be maximizing Josh Allen's Super Bowl window, not
Right.
losing all the talent around him.
Exactly.
Buffalo is going to be a team that could surprise people not making the playoffs this year.
I don't see them making the playoffs. The AFC is getting too good.
It's too
Like
quarterback heavy that if you don't have things around your quarterback, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like we can talk shit on each other's team all we want, like the AFC South, but at the end of the day, the AFC South is on the upcome. Like they are.
We
Jags, and
both
Texans.
know that CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence have proved that they can play well for a full season.
Yeah.
Trevor came out and had a rough year after he started getting injured last year, but was good before that point. So like he's got things he's got to prove. But if AR and Levis can be anything that resembles a reliable starter, the AFC South is an up and coming division because
It's tough.
it's going to be tough. Like we all have always played each other well at times. Like that's always division football.
Yeah.
But it's
and then you got Miami, you got Cincinnati, the Steelers somehow always find a way.
The AFC North is always
right, exactly.
The Browns defense is great. They don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yes. And then to me, I think the Patriots seeing what Drake May turns into, I think the Patriots had a good offseason this year. So they can be on the upcoming. So like
I like the wide receivers they drafted.
Exactly. That's me too. And some of the skill players.
And Baker were that's a good double dip.
And so it's like, bro, what is you doing? Like, I don't get. Every team is circling the Chiefs saying, how can we stop them? The Bills circling and saying, how can we improve them? Like
Bills were one of the few teams in the AFC that took a step back in the offseason.
Yeah, significantly.
Pause, but hard. Like it makes no sense. Like you're so close several times. I think this is the head coach's last year. I think he gets fired. It's after everything that happened last year with his comments and stuff, and then just the downfall. I see him.
They're gonna go out and they're gonna find an offensive-minded head coach to put with Josh Allen.
It will probably be Ben Johnson.
Ooh, I would
probably be Ben Johnson.
I would hate. I don't like that.
Yeah, or Bobby Slowick. I can see Bobby Slowick.
Could be because they're gonna be a couple guys who are gonna be eligible this year.
And with the way Bobby Slowick talked to, or it was Ben Johnson talked about waiting for the right job and knowing that what did he say? 5 to 6 of these guys are going to be looking for jobs in the first couple years.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn.
Yeah. I think Ben Johnson's smart for waiting.
Yep. Don't put yourself in a spot where you're going to ruin your chance to get the job you want. Like now there's that, but you also there's only 32 of these jobs in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Like they come around often, but they don't come around often. And
right.
If you have the ability to keep yourself in consideration for another year where you could maybe wait out a better opportunity, I can't fault him for that. But it is a gamble because, as you know, one good year could be one thing, and then you have a bad year, and then nobody's talking about you.
Buying Leftwich, like the dude was supposed to be.
Dude was about to be the Jaguars head coach, and then the Jaguars pivoted last minute, went back to Doug Peterson, and now Byron Leftwich went back, had that rough year with Brady to end it, and
is he even on a team? I don't think he's on a team anymore, is he?
Don't think he's.
That's a good question. I don't know where he is right now.
I know Mark Brunell's with the Lions as a QB coach, and so is Keenan McCardell. But yeah, it was smart on there. Yeah, to me, like the NFC is great. They have some good teams, but nothing compared to the AFC. Like the AFC is the powerhouse.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean The NFC was the one that was stacked with more quarterbacks for a while, and we had just Tom Brady and Peyton Manning for a long time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But it has shifted. Every quarterback is in the AFC
Yeah.
with like 3 quarterbacks in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, really, who's on the NFC side?
Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, like your Dak Prescott. Can't forget Danny Dimes, future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford.
Like there's some like okay guys in Jordan Love,
Yeah.
There's some
I
okay guys
think
in
he's.
there, but
I actually think he's going to be good. I think Jordan Love is going to be.
I mean, he had a pretty good year. He had a much better first year starting than I thought he was going to have. I didn't think he'd necessarily be a bad quarterback, but I thought he would struggle a little bit more his first year than he did.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, what deal did Green Bay Packers make with the devil? Like, dude, I have no idea like what they did, but can the Texans please do that? Like 3 quarterbacks back to back make, potential Hall of Famers. Like, come on, man.
I mean, but the thing is, for what they've done, and then what they've done in that span, because I mean, it's you have Favre and then you have Rodgers, and you have those 2 back to back, and I think in that span, I think it's just like that's a span of what 30 years. I mean, it's just like
30 years.
It's equated to 2 Super Bowls.
3 3 appearances. So,
like, don't get me wrong, the Jaguars have been around for 30 years. I would take 2 Super Bowls in 30 years.
Yeah.
But it also feels like with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre, that number seems light. Just like they always say about the Colts. Oh, Peyton Manning, you had Peyton Manning for all that time and you got 1 ring. Like, yeah, that's a valid argument. You would feel like he would get more. But like we said before, he also had to face Tom Brady in the playoffs every year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what
they were cheating.
Well, if you're not cheating, you're not winning. But
except for Randy Moss.
Exactly. Yeah. But regardless, like everyone's saying, oh, they didn't make Super Bowl. Oh, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. The Patriots spoiled people winning so many Super Bowls because that is not unheard of. Like that is crazy. I mean, the Niners have 5, and last time they won it was what 95, 96 or something with Steve Young.
Same with the Cowboys. They're mid-90s last time they won, and they got 5.
2007 was Pittsburgh. They got 5 or 6. Like, so yeah, just because teams make it to the Super Bowl.
Pittsburgh got another one in what was it? 2010,
2011, I think.
Oh yeah, I guess the Cardinals. You're right.
Yeah, that's the Antonio Holmes catch.
Yeah, you're right. I keep. Yeah, I was so mad because I wanted Kurt Warner to win a ring one more time. So and plus I hate the Steelers, but
I hate the Steelers too.
Yeah. But again, is this like everybody's like, oh, Super Bowl? It's not easy to get to. Now the AFC Championship and NFC Championship, like that's different. Like. So Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre always getting there. That's an accomplishment. But saying, oh well, he never got to a Super Bowl, so yeah, but that's not easy to do at all.
No,
so
sometimes I think in a lot of this discourse, when people start talking, they forget how hard it is to actually, number one, get to a Super Bowl and then win one. Like you got other sports where you might play a series, like it's still hard to win these titles, but like you go out one night, you have a bad game, you can come back, 2 days later and redeem yourself. You have another opportunity. Football, every week you go in, it is
any given Sunday.
It's any given Sunday. You have a bad day, you are going home. You could be the best team. You could be 16-0. You could win all your playoff games, and then you could face Eli Manning in the Super Bowl and lose.
Due to a helmet catch. Like, bro, anything can happen. Shaquille O'Neal said it the best. Like he said, we just shrugged it off thinking, oh, we'll be there again. We'll be there next year when he won it with the Magic. And he didn't see it for another 5 years?
Yeah.
he said it changed my life. Like it made me change the way I thought. So it's not easy getting there.
Absolutely not. No, definitely
That's
not.
because Tom Brady did. Well, yeah, Tom Brady is a GOAT for a reason. Like
You can only have one person that's the best player of all time.
Yeah, and the greatest cheating team of all time too. So just like the Astros, I'll take it. All right, fellas. Well, in the wise words of my boy Crenshaw, this is the worst part of the show because it's the end. Guys, why don't y'all tell me where we can find you on social media and what you got cooking, so that way we can support you. Chris, I'll start with you, brother.
Yeah, find me on Twitter at CJ Colts fan. And you can find me with the boys on Horseshoe Mob podcast on Tuesdays, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central. And yeah, so catch us this week. We'll be doing the third part of our schedule release, going over weeks 9 through 12, going over predictions and analysis and all that good stuff. So come check us out.
And then, Ammo, you got some big news for us. Why don't you tell us?
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter at AmmoJags. And then the news that we have is I'm going to be taking over the Jaguars Fan Battle podcast. Details to be worked out at a later date. So check back for that. But yeah, I'm excited. I've been wanting to do some more Jaguar specific stuff. So any opportunity I can talk about the greatest team in the NFL, I will take it.
I love it. And we are looking for Titans commentators for our Titans podcast. So if you feel like you need a break from drinking mayo all day and want to talk about some Titans, hit us up. Let us know. We'll get you started. You can find me at A1 Day One Texans everywhere. And of course, on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central with my boy Crenshaw, Bo, and Kenneth talking on the Texans Fan Battle podcast. And then you can find the podcast everywhere at AFC SFB. And we right now are doing an amazing contest. All you got to do is subscribe, show us proof that you are subscribing to the YouTube channel, and you get a jersey of your choice. If you want toilet paper for a Tennessee Oilers jersey, we'll get you toilet paper. If you want an Anthony Richardson jersey, we'll get you Anthony Richardson jersey. Just do those simple rules. July 7th is the end date, so make sure you subscribe. It's easy, it's cheap, and it's free. So make sure you do that. Until next time, guys, have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you then.
Sit back in your saddle and get ready for the fan battle.